Selina, can you hear me? Selina, are you there? Okay. So whilst we wait for Selena, let's give let's allow Doc to also introduce himself. So Doc, kindly introduce yourself to us.
Right, thank you. So my name is Hilarius Abiwu. I'm a medical doctor by training and the Deputy Director of Public Health in the Ghana Service. At the moment, I function as the National Program Manager for the National Malaria Elimination Program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc, for this introduction. We are honored to have you here, the program's manager himself. In fact, thank you. Thank you for joining us. So, Selina, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Oh, great. Finally. Kindly introduce yourself to us.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
I'm Selina Opoku Agyeiwaa, district field technician.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Selina, for joining this live. Um, we are
Hi, Mr. Abiwu.
we are grateful.
Please let me greet my director.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Selina, we want to see
Hey,
you.
you left us. Hey, we are not applied to.
Oh.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. You want to see me?
Yes, we want you to
Hey.
enable your camera
Oh
so
no no
that
no
we
no no
can
no no
have
no.
this conversation. But it's okay if you don't have light. Yes. So let's
Oh no, I'm having like but I don't like it when there's this light reflection too much in my eye. That's why.
no problem.
So I can just on it for some time, then go out.
Okay, so when you're about to give your submission, then um
Hope
you can, yeah. All right. So let's go into it. Dog.
because I don't really like lighting.
Okay. All right. So dog, I mean, um uh we so tell us what exactly does the program National Malaria Elimination Program do, and also what is of the role in Ghana's fight against malaria currently?
Okay. So, I mean, um, so generally, let me just give you first of all, for the benefit of our listeners and the viewers, where the National Malaria Elimination Program sits
Mhm.
within the Ministry of Health. So we all know that the Ministry of Health is responsible for everything health in the country.
Yeah.
Um, but health is quite complex. So we know part of health includes preventing people from getting ill, which largely is uh, preventive health, which we call public health. And public health is largely led by the Ghana Health Service. In addition to basic treatments at the community level, in the polyclinics, district hospitals, and regional hospitals, all the healthcare needs are taken care of by Ghana Health Service. And within public health, there are a number of diseases we are looking at. We are looking at TB, we are looking at HIV, we are looking at malaria, non-communicable diseases like hypertension, and so on. And malaria just happens to be one of the diseases that we try to deal with within public health. So the National Malaria Elimination Program was established largely to be responsible for coordinating anything that has to do with malaria in Ghana, whether it's with the private sector, whether it's with government institutions, whether it's with international bodies. If we have to do anything about malaria, then the National Malaria Elimination Program is expected to be the one that we should be talking to, coordinating all these activities. Initially, when it was set up, there's so much malaria everywhere. Like there's virtually nowhere in Ghana where you cannot get malaria or malaria is not a problem. So the Ministry of Health decided that, well, let's put in efforts to try and control the disease so that a lot of people don't get sick, a lot of people don't die from malaria. But now in 2024, the Ministry of Health decided that, well, we've done a lot already, so why don't we even prevent malaria from happening in Ghana in the first place? So we changed our name from National Malaria Control Program to National Malaria Elimination Program because other countries have been able to get rid of malaria from their countries, including countries in Africa like Cape Verde. There's no malaria in Cape Verde, even though it's on the continent of Africa. So largely, that's what the National Malaria Elimination Program is set up to do.
Wow. I mean, if Cape Verde can do it, I mean, can Ghana too? We should be able to do it. Doc, from your experience leading the program, I mean, um, is elimination. I mean, eliminating mosquito from Ghana. Is it possible?
Okay, so yes, it is. It is. But let me try and make the distinction, a brief distinction in terms of the conversation we are having today. So the trade recognized as the World Mosquito Day. Several a scientist was able to determine that the mosquito carries malaria and is responsible for transmitting malaria. And we've all agreed that on the 20th of August of every month we should talk about the mosquito. Okay, so if you look at the different kinds of mosquitoes we have in the world, they are about in excess of 3,500 mosquito species. 3,500. Now, when you come to talking about mosquitoes causing disease, there are just about three, types, which in biology we used to call genus, that cause almost all the diseases that mosquitoes cause. So out of the 3,500 mosquito species, there are only about three of these in the genus. What we call the Anopheles mosquito, the Aedes mosquito, and the Culex mosquitoes. So anytime we are working at dealing with mosquitoes, we want to bother ourselves only with the ones that give us diseases. As for the ones that are just in the environment and living their life and part of the ecosystem, we don't want to worry too much about it. So if it is just about being able to get rid of mosquitoes, it is completely doable. It's just that our aim is not to get rid of all mosquitoes, but to focus on getting rid of mosquitoes that give us diseases. Because if you go to the US and you go to other countries all over the world, they have mosquitoes, but they don't have malaria. Because those mosquitoes don't carry the disease, that we have in this part of the country. But so we can get rid of mosquitoes as one, and we can also have mosquitoes still being there, but get rid of malaria, which is the disease that the mosquito takes from humans and give to other humans and things like that. And for both questions, whether we can eliminate mosquitoes or eliminate malaria, the disease itself, it is completely doable. And I'll give you an example why we think that this is completely doable. Like I mentioned, in Africa, Cape Verde has been able to get rid of malaria. China has been able to get rid of malaria in recent times. And China is like the whole of Africa in terms of population, but they've been able to get rid of malaria on that big continent. So it is completely doable. And if you look at Ghana, let's say in 2015, we used to record about 3,000 people dying from malaria every year. Now last year, 2025, we recorded only about 52 deaths. So if you look at the progress we've made from 3,000 people dying a year to 52 people dying a year, we've made a lot of progress. If you around 2015, when we took blood samples from children under 5 and tested them to see whether they have malaria parasites in their blood, we found about 1 out of every 4 children having parasites in their blood. Even if they are not sick, they have the parasite sitting in their blood. When that was repeated in 2022, they found just 1 out of every 10. In fact, less than that, 8%. Meanwhile, 2015, they had close to 30%, in excess of 25% of those children having parasites in their blood. So the numbers are going down. So if you can go from 7 to 8, then you can go from 8 to 0, in another 10 years. If you can go from 3,000 deaths to 52 deaths, you can go from 52 deaths to 0 deaths. So, and when we get to 0, that's when we say there's elimination. So completely, it is doable on both fronts.
Okay. Doc, so now we know who is leading the national effort and what the program is about. But I mean, we want to focus on something that many of us see every single day. That is the mosquitoes. Yes. And we are doing that because you cannot fight something effectively if you don't understand it. Yes. So the question is, why are we focusing so much attention on mosquitoes when we talk about malaria? And also, many people see mosquitoes simply as a nuisance. What make certain mosquitoes a serious public health concern?
Right. So let me just say that when it comes to killers, I mean, in simple terms, amongst animals, mosquito is the deadliest animal on earth. Not the lion, not even the snake. Of course, if you meet a lion, you could possibly die on the spot. But if you are looking at the number of people who die as a result of the efforts of any single animal on the earth, mosquito kills the largest number of people on the planet Earth. So, if mosquito is the deadliest animal on earth, of course, we need to pay attention to the mosquito. So, like I mentioned, there are in excess of 3,500 mosquito species in the world. But just about 3 types of the mosquitoes cause most of the diseases we have. So apart from malaria, which the mosquito causes, the mosquito also causes diseases like elephantiasis. It's the same mosquito that causes dengue fever. We had an outbreak of dengue fever in the country, and recently somebody died from dengue fever here in Accra, another in Ashanti region. Yellow fever, that disease is also caused by a mosquito. There's a disease in other parts of Africa they call chikungunya. It is caused by a mosquito. Zika, it is caused by a mosquito. So there are quite a lot of diseases which the mosquito causes. And that is why the mosquito is such an important organism anytime we are talking about public health and disease prevention. And I guess it is part of the reasons why a whole day is dedicated, to a mosquito as a World Mosquito Day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you just join us, this is the GoodLife Chatroom of the Ghana Health Service. Tonight, we are getting to know Mosquito. Apparently, Mosquito has a World Day. Not to celebrate Mosquito itself, but also to get to know the mosquito itself. I have with me here the programs manager for National Malaria Elimination Program, Dr. Paul Hilarius, with us, and I have Selina Opoku also with us here, disease control from the northern region. Is it Solon? Yeah, with us to also help us understand the the mosquito. Um, so through the bills, you're welcome. It's been a while. Ivy, you're also welcome. Resford Asamoah, Susan, Desmond, is it Desmond Dina? Yes, you are welcome. The Mebe effect, you're also welcome to our live. And Prince Prosper, you are welcome. Gloria Dede, you are welcome. Yax and Rashid, you are all welcome to our live. This is the GoodLife Chatroom of the Ghana Health Service. Kindly share this live to your newsfeed so that we can have a lot of people joining this conversation because it's a very serious one. Now, okay, before we move on, you can drop your question in the comment section. Any question you have or any contribution in the comment section, then I'll read them to our guests for them to do justice to the questions for us. Now, I can already imagine someone watching and saying that, but every mosquito looks like a mosquito to me. So I mean, let's clear that up. Dog, do all mosquitoes transmit malaria? And also, we often hear that only female mosquitoes bite. Why is it that case? Yeah.
Okay, so let me I think let me start with the more interesting one. The fact that only female mosquitoes bite. Yes, that is true. That is true. And the reason the female mosquitoes bite is because they need blood, to hatch their eggs. Without the blood meal, they are not able to hatch their eggs. So technically, without blood, they cannot reproduce.
Okay.
They can't. So I mean, there are mosquitoes that feed on humans' blood. Others also feed on animal blood. But either way, once the female mosquito, mates, it will need blood in order for the eggs to hatch. So that's the reason, and because it's the female that gives birth, it makes sense that they are the ones who would want to bite and get some blood in order to keep their race going. And the other thing is also the fact that mosquito causes malaria. Many various mosquitoes cause various different diseases. So when it comes to the mosquito that causes the malaria, we are talking about what we typically will call the Anopheles mosquito, the female Anopheles mosquito. And it is because we are talking about the female because they are the ones that bite and need to take blood. And it is when they try to take blood from us that then they introduce the malaria parasite or the germ that causes malaria into our blood. Now, the Anopheles mosquito, typically, if you look at their habits, they are very silent. They are not the mosquitoes that make noise and disturb your sleep. That's a different mosquito that causes a different disease. But the female Anopheles mosquito is very silent. Typically, that mosquito will bite at night. For the entomologists, I remember people usually say that all these things we were drawing in GSS, SHS, drawing mosquitoes and things like that. What benefit are we getting out of it? The fact is that there are people who are professors and their study is a mosquito. And if mosquito happens to be the most deadly animal on the planet Earth and causes a lot of diseases that we are talking about, then it makes sense that you should have people who are actually studying these animals. So the entomologists, those who study insects and including the mosquito, tell us that the female Anopheles mosquito prefers to bite at night, not during the daytime. And mainly they'll bite indoors. Of course, we know that some of them have started biting when you are outside. But mainly most of them will bite in the night, and then they also bite indoors. So you can understand why in malaria prevention they introduce the mosquito net, because it's in the night that most people will sleep, and most people will sleep in their rooms. So if you have a bed net with an insecticide inside and people sleep under it in the night, then it will prevent the female Anopheles mosquito from reaching them. Okay, now the Anopheles mosquito typically prefers clean, it's a very clean mosquito. It doesn't like polluted water. So most of these dirty gutters and things like that, they breed mosquitoes, but not necessarily the malaria causing mosquito. So if you have lorry ties and it rains and collects water, good places for the female Anopheles mosquito to breed. If you have rice fields, and typically these are marshy areas, and the dust and the dirt settles, those clean waters. Or they dig pits, maybe because of big push. They are constructing a lot of roads and digging a lot of pits. It rains and water settles in. Or it can be a galamsey pit. These are the places that typically, that you find the Anopheles mosquito breed. The interesting thing is that apart from malaria, there are other diseases also that the same Anopheles mosquito transmit. So if you sleep under a mosquito net, you are not only protecting yourself against malaria, but you are protecting yourself from all other diseases that the female Anopheles mosquito, also transmits. The other mosquito that typically people know about the most is the Culex. That's the one that is noisy in the night. You hear it singing all over the place. And usually when we are doing an advert with a mosquito, it's the Culex behavior we use, to communicate. But the Culex is not the one that causes malaria. And the Culex typically will breed in dirty water, organic rich water, choke gutters, soccerways. These are all breeding places for the Culex mosquito. And some of it, cause West Nile, virus and so on. And then you have the Aedes that also causes the dengue. So the recent death that occurred, for instance, in Greater Accra, when our entomologists did the investigation, the risks they found were, water containers. People store water in Accra because the tap usually is not flowing every time. So some of the water containers were the places where they were able to harvest the Aedes mosquito. Or sometimes people have air conditions and the water collects into bowls, in their houses. They found a number of mosquitoes, hatching in these waters that have collected in the house of the person who died from the dengue fever. So largely, these are the most important mosquito types that are here in the country and causes a lot of diseases. So not every mosquito causes malaria.
Okay.
Only the female Anopheles mosquito transmits malaria, as far as we know.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Very much. Thank you so much for this explanation, Doc. We are grateful. Just Bree, you are welcome to our live. Yes. So Selina, we are coming to you. Um, Understanding mosquito is only the first step. The next question is, in fact, before we go to the next question, let me ask our audience: apart from mosquitoes, what else can cause malaria? This question is to our audience, and Doc can answer that at the end of the show. Yes, if you get it right, who knows? We can get you a T-shirt, one of our malaria T-shirt. Yes. So apart from mosquito, what else can cause malaria? You can drop your answer in the comment section, and I'll read them. If you get it right, you get one of our nice T-shirts. Yes. So the the next question is, what are we actually seeing on the ground? Selina, you have worked directly with communities in Tolon. So let's bring this conversation from the national level to the household level. From your experience working directly with communities, what are some of the common things you see that can increase people exposure to mosquitoes? And also, what are some of the challenges communities face when trying to prevent malaria?
Okay, thank you very much. With the community, since we
Yeah,
hello,
we
are
can
you
hear
getting
you.
me?
Yes.
uh One factor is the environmental condition.
Hmm.
Since we are mostly closer to their farmlands, the dams, and other things, so that is a factor. And also, with the communities, most of the times they really don't understand the concept. Yes, they really don't really understand the concept, and it's actually making it difficult to also prevent it. And most of the times, the this
We
network
can hear
it
you.
just
Selena, we can hear you. Selena, can you hear me? Selena. Okay. So while we wait for Selena, this is the Good Life Chatroom of the Ghana Health Service. We do this every Friday. Last week we spoke about Ebola, some of the things we need to be aware of in case there is an outbreak of Ebola in the country. And we had Dr. Lawrence Latte, the head of our emergency operations center.
hello.
Yes, Selena, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
we could hear you
It's because
earlier.
it's ready. The network is very, very poor here.
Oh, yeah, but we could
But
hear
the
you.
thing paused. Okay, so I was talking about the environmental. You can
Yeah, we
hear
can
me
hear
now.
you.
Okay, pardon me for any this thing because
Don't worry. Go
it's
ahead.
very poor here. So I was talking about the environmental condition due to here we are closer to the forest, the dams, and because of their farming activities.
Hmm.
It mostly provide ideal site for breeding of mosquitoes, and rainwater in irrigation channels to contribute to it, and moreover the stagnant waters. And also you see their housing, the housing condition, most of the time absence of window screens, and some of the how do you call, their doors doesn't have seals, and mosquitoes enter through those doors, increasing the exposure of mosquito bites. And at times to limited mosquito nets and measures, especially with the indoor residual spraying and under environmental sanitation problems.
Okay.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
we can hear you.
Oh, Charlie.
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Or can you hear me? Selena. Okay. So, like I was saying earlier, we are talking about understanding the mosquito. So, if you have any question, oh,
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
okay, all right,
My Tamale network is very poor.
all right. So, go ahead.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so let me. You were talking about some. Or let me ask this question so that you just take all together. Are there particular behaviors or practice that you think
Oh,
families should pay more attention to?
okay. Pardon?
Are there particular behaviors or practice that you think families should pay more attention to?
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Yeah,
Hey,
Selena.
Charlie. Oh, his network is disgraceful.
It looks like Selena is not hearing us, but we will bring her back very soon. Um, so this is the Good Life Chat Room of the Ghana Health Service. We are talking about understanding the mosquito. Yes, and we have Dr. Paul Hilarius with us here to help us understand the mosquito. And we have Selena also here with us to talk about the community aspect. So, Doug, where
Yes.
exactly do mosquito breed? And also, we often think mosquitoes need a large pool of water. Can every small amount of water actually support mosquito breeding?
Oh, yes. Yes. So the mosquito doesn't need um, a large pool of water in order to breed. Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might even find that in the bathhouse, uh, we bath. Sometimes we have buckets or we have other things in the bathhouse that collect some of the water that we use in the bathhouse. If it stays there long enough, I mean, the mosquito will be able to breed, lay eggs and breed from there. Even for the large water bodies, if yeah, you talk to the entomologists, you'll find that the mosquitoes actually prefer the edges of the large body water because then the water has to be stagnant. It has to be stable for the eggs to be there till they hatch. But if you have fast flowing water, it may not be very good for a number of the mosquito species to be able to breed and all of that. So the more important areas for us, particularly what we have control over, are the small, pools of water that is in our environment. Including water that we keep in a bucket at home, maybe because we want to store water. And when the tap is running and you have water in these buckets that you haven't uh, disconnected, you haven't covered the buckets, and the water stays and the tap is running, so you still keep them open. That's a very good breeding site for the mosquito. Or you may have empty cans. You may have an old tie that is worn out, you removed, bought a new one, and it's just lying in the open. Once it rains or you pour water away and it gets into the tie, that's a beautiful place for a number of these mosquitoes that are causing diseases in our environment to breed. So, indeed, the mosquito doesn't need plenty water in order to be able to breed. And for some time, some of it may just need just 14 days for the water to be there for the mosquito to lay eggs, hatch, and then fly away and cause their trouble, you know. So that's why usually the advice is always to make sure that we don't have a lot of stagnant water in our environment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. So that old container sitting outside your house. I mean, that block drain, that small puddle you walk past every day. We may need to start looking at those things differently. Uh, Selina, can you hear me? Selina, okay, it looks like we are still having issues with Selina network. So, Doc, let me come to you again. Why should people sleep under an insecticide treated mosquito net? And also, should children sleep under mosquito nets? And what about pregnant women? Do they also have to sleep under mosquito nets? And do I still need to use my mosquito net if I don't see mosquitoes in my room?
Okay. So yeah, so I think that the answer to that question would better be explained by the behavior of the mosquito. So like we indicated, the mosquito that causes malaria, typically the entomologist tells us that they bite indoors in our rooms. They bite outside too, but they prefer to bite inside. And then secondly, they prefer to bite in the night. And then, of course, when they finish biting, they have to rest. It's part of their behavior. So once they finish biting you, having enough of the blood they need, they'll go and perch on the wall inside the room, to rest a bit before they fly away. So when scientists started thinking about how to prevent malaria, they thought about something that will cover us who are exposed in the night, indoor, and when we are asleep. And that's how they introduced the mosquito net. So in the beginning, the mosquito net is just a net small enough to prevent the mosquito from having access to you whilst you are asleep. Then later, they started adding insecticides, just like the raid mosquito spray and the other things that we spray our rooms with to kill mosquitoes. This time, it comes in the net, so that when the mosquito lands on it, in an attempt to come and bite you, it lands on the net, it gets killed or it gets knocked off. So, yes, whether you are an adult, a man, a woman, girl, boy, child, pregnant woman, everyone in Ghana is at risk of getting malaria. So everyone who needs to be protected against malaria would best be served if they sleep under an insecticide treated net or the mosquito net. The people we are even more worried about and pregnant women for two reasons. So for children, so typically if you get malaria frequently or if you get bitten by the mosquito and you get malaria, your body develops immunity. So next time people have malaria, they are walking around, they are at work, taking their Lonart and Coartem, and as if nothing is happening. For children, because they are young, they've not had the benefit of getting frequent exposure to malaria. So their immunity or their body's ability to fight disease is very weak. So most of the people who are dying from malaria now in Ghana are children, typically children under 5. And because we know children under 5 are the ones who typically are dying or getting the severe form of the malaria, that's why we decided that for children under 5 who go and take their immunization or who go for weighing, when you go for weighing and you go and take your yellow fever vaccine, at 18 months or 1.5 years of age, then you are supposed to be given a mosquito net so that the child can sleep under the mosquito net. When you come to pregnant women, it becomes a double trouble because a pregnant woman is two people in one. You have a child that is growing in the womb, and then you also have the pregnant woman herself. If the pregnant woman gets malaria, she herself can suffer the consequences of the malaria. But in addition, the place in the womb where the baby gets a lot of oxygen from the mother in order to survive in the womb is the same place also that the mosquito likes in the pregnant woman. So the mosquito, you find a lot of mosquito, not the mosquito, the parasite, the malaria parasite. That is where they like, in the placental bed, which has a lot of blood and serves as a place where oxygen gets to the baby, in the womb. So by occupying those places, it then reduces how much oxygen the baby gets. So it's not unusual to find pregnant women who have repeated exposure to malaria, having given birth to babies that are very, very small. What we say in local parlance, akiti boge or something, low weight babies that are born and they are extremely small and are then exposed to other diseases and with high likelihood of dying. And you can have this same malaria causing the death of a baby in a mother's womb. So that's why also we decided in the Ministry of Health that every pregnant woman, once you register, you come to the antenatal care and register for the first time in the pregnancy, we have to give you a mosquito net. And all of these are free, whether for the child who comes for weighing at 1.5 years or the pregnant woman who comes to antenatal care for the first time in the pregnancy. These nets are supposed to be free. So if you haven't gotten your net and you're pregnant, you have gone to the antenatal, register at the antenatal clinic. Or if you've taken your child to go and receive vaccine, the yellow fever vaccine at 1.5 years, and you haven't received the mosquito nets, please ask the next time you go your midwife or the community health nurse who attends to you. They're supposed to give you one so that the pregnant woman and the child and any other person who wants to be protected against malaria can sleep under the net.
Okay.
I hope that
Yes,
helps.
yes, Doc. That's a very insightful one. Selina, can you hear me? Selina, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay, Doc. What role can fathers, grandparents, and other family members play in helping breastfeeding mothers and babies stay protected? And also, for breastfeeding mothers, what should they know about protecting themselves and their babies from malaria?
Okay. So I think that typically in Ghana and most parts of Africa, fathers, grandparents, have a lot of influence in how decisions are made at home. So there are two things which these people who often have a lot of power and influence in their home are expected to do. If they encourage, if they instruct, if they push for their children and their pregnant women to sleep under mosquito nets, it is likely that they will sleep under the nets. Or if they have the net installed in the various rooms, the likelihood that people, the children, and they themselves, and also the women will sleep under them is extremely high. So that's one thing. They use the influence they have in order to ensure that their families are protected. And if they are protected, that's a lot of savings on their pocket. Because if the man and the grandmother and the other influential people are the ones who pay when a child gets sick, or even if the extreme happens where we lose a child, all the money that is spent, a lot of it will come from these influential people in the homes. So by ensuring that their families sleep under insecticide treated nets or mosquito nets or any other preventive method we use, to protect ourselves from getting malaria, we are saving the lives of the people who are dearest to us, and also reducing our expenditure on healthcare. But the other part of it, which typically we don't talk about, is the fact that if a man, if an elderly person, an adult, who lives in Ghana and has had repeated malaria episodes and therefore has a lot of immunity, and malaria doesn't knock him out any longer. And some people say they have their malaria, they just have to take tea or drink water, and then they don't take any medicine at all. That's fine. They may be able to survive it, maybe because their immunity has developed, and therefore they're able to keep the parasite under control. But the downside of it is that if I am strong, my immunity is strong, and I'm carrying the parasite around, and I have a 5-year-old in my house, 2-year-old, 1-year-old, or a very elderly person in my house, what it means is that for as long as the Anopheles mosquito is in that house and bites me, it's going to take the parasite from me, who is strong, and give it to the child who is not strong. So my strength and my immunity has become a reason why a child, an innocent child, gets malaria and probably ends up with cerebral malaria, destroying his brain, or becoming, a vegetable, or dying as a consequence of the fact that, oh, I am very strong, I don't even need malaria tablets in order to get well. And so I just walk around, I don't sleep under the net, I don't protect myself. And then I become the distributor of the parasite through bites from these Anopheles mosquitoes. So it's a dual role. Everybody who has influence, whether in-laws or grandparents or fathers, they have a responsibility of ensuring that their loved ones are protected from getting malaria. It reduces the expenditure on their pocket. It reduces the likelihood that they lose those children, who they have made a lot of investment into. And then also, it will be good that they themselves also get tested and treated and protected from getting malaria, so that they do not become the reservoir that distributes the malaria to their loved ones.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc, for this insightful discussion. Um, so, Doc, I have a question for you. Why are so someone is asking Bright Star, oh okay. Bright Star is asking, why are so much dependence on bed nets and not the malaria vaccines?
Okay, so malaria is a very complex disease, and as we speak, we don't have any single tool, one bullet or magic bullet, that if we throw out the malaria just disappears. We don't have. Let's say, for instance, if you are talking about yellow fever, once you take the vaccine, you are protected. In the past, they will say that you have to take yellow fever vaccine every 10 years to be protected. Now we know that people who have had only one shot of the vaccine, if the vaccine is potent, for the rest of your life, you are protected against yellow fever. Unfortunately, for malaria, we don't have any powerful vaccine like that when you take will stop you from getting malaria forever. And the reason that is so, or the clearest evidence, is the fact that a vaccine is supposed to be like the dummy illness or a fake illness that they put in your body so that your body can use it to train on how to fight the disease. So that when the disease itself enters your body, the body will be able to fight it, having learned with the vaccine, which is the dummy disease. But people have malaria like 3, 4, 5, some all their life. The only illness they ever have is malaria. But despite the body having encounter with malaria, fighting it, recovering, getting it again, it never develops immunity. In fact, if you live in Ghana, have malaria frequently, you have immunity. And so you may not get severe malaria. But if you travel from here and go to the US where there's no malaria and stay even 6 months and come back to the country, it's as if you have never had any exposure to malaria before, because the immunity the body develops against malaria doesn't last very long. So you stay away from it for a while, the immunity just disappears. And when you come back and you get malaria, you can even die from the malaria. So the vaccines we have now, most of them are not 100% protective, but they protect from the severe form of the disease. So we have 2 main vaccines currently that are available, RTSS, R21. And most of them, the effectiveness or the efficacies are around 50% to 70%. And even that, the immunity doesn't last for a very long period of time. That's why even for the malaria vaccine for children, we are giving them 4 doses. We give them, we repeat it again, and repeat it a 4th time. By that time, the body would have developed enough immunity so that when the child gets exposed to malaria again, he doesn't develop the severe form of the disease. Okay, so we use the vaccine largely to help boost the immunity of our children. Even adults can take the vaccine, but we don't have enough vaccines now to cover everybody, including adults and all of that. So we prioritize the children who are most vulnerable. Okay, so since you don't have a magic bullet in vaccines, then you have to also see how you can prevent the mosquito from biting you and giving you the parasite which causes the disease. And that's why there's a lot of emphasis on mosquito net. It's not only mosquito net, we do what we also call the indoor residual spraying. So like I explained earlier, after a mosquito bites, the Anopheles mosquito bites indoors, after taking the blood meal, for want of a better word, it finds itself very dizzy, and sleepy. So the place it goes to rest is on the wall. So that's why we do what we call the indoor residual spraying, because we know the mosquito after biting will have to rest on the walls. We spray the inner walls of the room with the insecticide, so that when they land on the walls, whether after feeding or before, then they get knocked off, reducing the population of. Over time, you find that you don't have a lot of mosquitoes in your room. So in the northern parts of the country, like Upper West and part of Upper East and Northern region, that's about 26 districts. We do this once every year. We spray their rooms. Unfortunately, you have to move from house to house, taking people's things out, spraying their rooms, moving the things back, and it's extremely expensive compared with giving a net to somebody who goes to hang it and just sleeps inside. So our 2 main tools against the mosquito to prevent it from biting us is the net and also the indoor residual spraying. But because the indoor residual spraying is very expensive to implement, we don't do a lot of it, and now encourage more people to use their nets. So that is the reason why we are not giving everybody a vaccine. If the vaccine was very protective, 100% protective like we have for yellow fever, we wouldn't even worry so much about insecticide treated nets or IRS or the other interventions.
Okay.
All we need to do is vaccinate everybody, and
Okay.
we are good to go.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. If you just join us, this is the Good Life chat room of the Ghana Health Service. Tonight we are talking about mosquitoes, getting to understand mosquitoes. Yes, that's what we are discussing today. And our guest is Dr. Paul Hilarius, the programs manager for malaria. And we have Selina too here with us. Before we go ahead, Nora, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Very good. Now, let's talk about some of the activities that has been happening in the service. So, if you can give us an update on the things that the service has done during this week and also for next week.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Nora Sare, and here are some of the key health developments making headlines this week in the service. So, there is a support for non communicable disease programs. The service has received important support to strengthen its work on non communicable diseases. The AYA Integrated Healthcare Initiative, which is implemented by GES Ghana, has donated ICT equipment to the National Non-Communicable Disease Program of the Ghana Health Service to support the program's work and help to strengthen and coordinate of prevention, helps in early detection, and also in the management of non-communicable diseases in Ghana. Still in the service is the 2026 Evidence Summit. So last week, the Health Promotion Division of the Ghana Health Service successfully held its 2026 Evidence Summit. This summit brought together key stakeholders to share research findings, their experiences, and evidences to help strengthen health promotion and public health programs in Ghana. And then also this month is a month set aside for breastfeeding. And so we are saying that breastfeeding gives babies important nutrients and supports their growth and their overall health. But successful breastfeeding is not solely the responsibility of the mother alone. Our mothers need support from their husbands. Our mothers need support from their partners. Our mothers need support from their families, communities, the health workers, and then also their workplaces. So, as we mark this year's Breastfeeding Month, we are encouraged to strengthen the support system that helps mothers to initiate and breastfeed successfully. And here are some of the health tips for this week. This is especially to breastfeeding mothers and families. So we are saying that exclusive breastfeeding is recommended for babies for the first 6 months of life, unless a health professional advises otherwise. So we are pleading on our fathers, our families, and our communities to support the mother. Also to help her get enough rest and also encourage her, assist with household responsibilities, and also create an environment where she can breastfeed comfortably. So supporting the breastfeeding mother means supporting the health of the child. And then our second tip for the week is that since we are talking about malaria elimination, someone would ask, and doctor has answered already, that do male mosquitoes bite people? The answer is definitely no. Female mosquitoes are the ones that bite humans. So everyone should please sleep under an insecticide treated net, especially children and pregnant women who are particularly vulnerable to malaria. And it's a wrap on this week's Ghana Health Service Health Update. I'm Nora Asare, and I'll be back next week with more health stories and important health information. Stick around and for the rest of the program, please. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Nora, for the update. And also, this week, I think from Tuesday, yeah, Research and Development Division, they are also hosting their um, the National Health Research Dissemination Forum. which is happening at Pantine. I heard of Cortes at Pantine, and it will start from Tuesday to Thursday. So if you have time, come around, or you can also watch live. We will stream it live here on TikTok and also on Ghana Health Service and Good Life social media pages. So if you are not following us, kindly follow this page right now so that you can get all the updates you need when it comes to some of these interventions we do in the service. Though, before we wrap up, can you give us some of the myths some people have on mosquitoes and also malaria? Yeah.
Okay. So typically, um, there are a number of these, out there. People talk about eating unripe mangoes when you stay too long under the sun, or you work very hard, you get malaria. Unfortunately, that is not true. You can get ill by eating maybe unripe mango, staying too long under the sun. But the sickness you get is not malaria. Malaria is only caused by the Plasmodium parasite, which you get from an infected female Anopheles mosquito biting you, typically at night, typically indoors, but they can bite also outside. People also say, well, you sleep under a net, but you still got malaria. And so nets do not work. Well, from the explanation I have given, if you stay outside the net for most parts of the night, most of us typically sometimes will stay in the hall and watch TV, Netflix, etc. till 11 p.m., 12. So even if we have a bed net, we may have gotten all the bites. Sometimes we sit in the porch to receive fresh air, for most parts of the evening before we go and slide under the net. So you could get bitten outside the net by the mosquito and therefore get malaria, even though you are sleeping under the net. But if you do sleep under the net, then for the time that you are under the net, you are protected. It reduces how many more bites of the mosquito you would get and reduces the likelihood that you get more frequent malaria. The others will also say that the insecticides or what they use, the chemicals they use to treat the net are not safe, for children or even adults to sleep inside. Again, that is not true, because every net that we ever distributed has to go through rigorous testing, including approval from the World Health Organization or WHO. And even after that, our Food and Drugs Authority in